Today's topic actually came up based on a comment that I got on one of my reels, because I frequently refer to the fact that I was going to pump classes for years and years and years and actually lost muscle tone and started looking kind of blobby in menopause. And the comment was, hey, pump is not even claiming to be a muscle building exercise form, and that it is a fun way to exercise. And I wanted to say that I am 100% in agreement that it is a fun way to exercise. I enjoyed my pump years, but here's where my kind of conflict with pump and let's pull in OrangeTheory and F45 and these kinds of very, very trendy classes is that women have misunderstood what those classes are for. And I think that those companies have also allowed women to misunderstand it, because how many of you out there actually understand the difference between training a muscle for muscular endurance versus for strength and power? I bet that not too many of you raised your hand out there. And I was one of them. Absolutely. For so many years, I thought working with weights equals weight training equals taking care of my muscles. And it was only when I started to understand the biology behind what our muscles are actually made of, and the fact that there are different kinds of muscle fibers within our muscles that do different things, that I started to realize that actually the training or the exercising that I was doing was not the exercise that I needed to be doing in order to maintain my muscles and to build them back up. So that's why I make this statement that BodyPump, I was doing BodyPump and not getting results. If you go into the marketing material, at least around Les Mills BodyPump, they do talk about muscle endurance. And that is what you are training if you go into BodyPump. By the way, you're also training endurance if you go for a long run or a walk or bike or whatever. These are all forms of exercise where the stressor on your muscles is significantly low, that your type 1 muscle fibers, your endurance muscle fibers, are able to manage most of what's going on. And that's great. That's what they're there for. They're there to put in some effort and recover quickly and put in more effort and put in more effort. But those are not the fibers that we are generally losing as we age. And the reason that these companies provide these kinds of exercise that raise your heart rate and make you sweat and all those things is because that is what women primarily want, because we think, we have been taught that we need to be burning calories, that feeling like we've been run over by a bus at the end of the training session is the goal. Don't just do it. Like, you've got to feel dead by the end. And I grew up on that as well. And that is how I felt for so many years. I was always so proud of myself. Oh my God, I did it. It was hell and I did it. It hurt and I did it. My muscles burned and I did it. I could barely breathe and I did it. I completely understand that. But that's what we have been kind of hyped up and trained to believe. And that's why these companies are offering this kind of exercise class to us, because that resonates with us. That is what we have been trained to believe is the way to exercise. There is a misunderstanding, a misconception by, I would say, 99% of the women who are going to these classes. They think that they are taking care of their muscles by going there. And a completely normal, natural thing to misunderstand, because you're working with weights, you're feeling the burn, it feels hard. A lot of times you're doing the exact same exercises like a bicep curl, like a lateral raise, you might be doing a Romanian deadlift, all of the same kinds of movement patterns that you would do if you were actually strength training. But because you're doing them with so much of a lower weight, it is not actually stimulating those type 2 muscle fibers. So those type 2 muscle fibers are the ones that give us the strength and the power. And those are the ones that we are losing with age. And those are the ones that we need to hold on to. And those are the ones that respond to systematic strength training where you're applying progressive overload. So that is what I want women to understand, that yes, you can go to these classes. I'm not saying don't go. If you love them, go. Okay. But don't think that those classes are taking care of your type 2 muscle fibers, because they are not. You are not training heavy enough. You're not pushing yourself close to failure enough. And if you try structured strength training for, let's say, 3 months, you will see that it's a different animal from what's going on in those group fitness classes. If you really want to be effective as far as building muscle, then you're much better off spending that time in the weight room or with dumbbells at home or strength training at home. And one final thought on this is that I loved BodyPump for many, many years. And I think it does serve the purpose that if you have never picked up a weight before and you feel really intimidated by doing it in the weight room, then the fact that you get to be there, do it in a familiar kind of setting, which is having an instructor that you can follow the whole entire time, then it can help you to feel more comfortable just having weights in your hands. If you've never done it before, then those motions start to feel more familiar to you. So sure, go ahead and do that for a little while. You feel comfortable with, holding weights in general. And it will bring you a little bit of strength. I mean, if you've been a couch potato, if you've never picked up a weight, but the amount of result that you will see if you actually get out of those classes and get into the weight room or start strength training at home with a systematic process, applying progressive overload, having a program that hits all your muscles, it's night and day. And I've told this story before that I was a religious body pump goer and was bicep curling 5 kilos, which was something that none of the other women were doing 5 kilos, or very few of them were doing. And when I started strength training at home and applying progressive overload and doing this systematically a couple times a week, my strength of my arms grew very, very quickly. And I got my muscle tone back in my arms. All right. So that was my thoughts for the day. So summarize, I am not opposed to body pump, but I want women to understand that body pump is cardio. It is not training your muscles to grow and get stronger. So I leave you with that thought. And until next week, I wish you happy training.